Hello, it's the 21st of May. It's Cup final day, but that's not really the point. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk once again from our series in Renew Every Morning. And as you remember, we're doing a series this month on wisdom and guidance. Next month is going to be about strength and courage. But as we're here this month still, we're still thinking about this wisdom idea. And I want to take a verse from the Proverbs today. This is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 2. So let me just read it to you. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. All right. Well, today's verse is quite a game changer, and for something as hubristic as football, it's probably not the verse I should be speaking to today. But anyway, never mind. Here's the thing. So our verse today is really thinking about this idea of the difference between in terms of outcomes and incomes come to their inputs and outputs, about wisdom and disgrace. Now, wisdom, on the other hand, well, wisdom's not about how much you know, it's about how open you are to knowing differently. Do you know, I was really impressed when I was doing some research work recently, and many of you know, I work in the inclusion space, and one of the things that we have a program actually that's all about the idea of, it's a program called Thrives, and one of the key tenets of Thrives is all about movement. So it's about how you move from toxic relationships to therapeutic ones, and then the second movement is how you move from hubris to humility. And this is why I'm so excited about talking to you about this today. And interestingly, when I was doing some research, one of Microsoft, that you'll all of course be familiar with, when they were working around their diversity, equity and inclusion agenda, they came up with this one kind of guiding principle which I thought was so helpful. They said we want to move from being a know-it-all business to becoming a learn-it-all business. And that is such a profoundly smart thing to say, because you see, hubristic people that are proud of how much they know. They're not open to knowing differently, and being open to knowing differently, I think, is a real key to wisdom. But let's begin with the negative. Let's begin where it starts, with this idea of pride. The Hebrew word here speaks of kind of arrogance, or if you like, ego. It's very puffed up. Do you remember Paul says in Corinthians, knowledge puffs up, but love doesn't do that. Love restores. Love builds up. Pride says, I've got this, I know, there's nothing you can't tell me, there's nothing you can't tell me any different. And it's kind of over-inflated confidence, if you like. And humility, which is its contrast, is the antidote. It's the antidote to this kind of epidemic of kind of narcissistic self-enhancement that we see around the place. And it's really saying, no, it's something completely different there. Now, Scripture says that, watch for it, wherever you see pride show up, collapse is never going to be far behind. And then it gives an alternative, and the alternative gives this humility. And this word is zana. This word is much more to do with walking softly, walking modestly. I always think C.S. Lewis captures this the most glorious way. C.S. Lewis said that humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It's not humiliation, it's not humble in that sense. It means that you think of yourself less, because it's an other-centered idea, and I like that. I think that's really lovely, because essentially humility is knowing you don't need to be the center of it all, because you know that Christ is the center of us all, and that's all you need to know. And that's where wisdom begins to really take a beautiful space. And if we were going to contrast the two, we'd be saying that humility is a kind of quiet ego. It's turning up the quiet, if you like. But when somebody has humility, you can see them. They're very teachable. They're very open-hearted. When someone's hubristic, full of pride, they're very defensive and very self-assured. When somebody has wisdom, their source of wisdom, by the way, is surrender and reverence. But when someone's hubristic, their source of faux wisdom, their knowledge, comes from self-reliance and ego. When someone has wisdom, their energy is grounded and responsive. But when you see someone that's hubristic, their energy is very inflated, very noisy, very reactive. And the outcome of one, of course, is wisdom and growth. The outcome of the other is inevitably disgrace and collapse. That's exactly what you're going to see. Now, wisdom, humility brings incredible kind of life-sustaining and life-giving benefits. It really is quite wonderful. It strengthens our social bonds because you want to be around people that are like that. It helps us to kind of compete in a healthy way. When a competition becomes unhealthy, that is a really bad thing. And actually, it gives us better health outcomes as well. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about this. Now, in my book Safe and Sound, that some of you may have read, you'll know that I do a treatment on 1 Corinthians 13 about the nature of love. And this statement in 1 Corinthians says something very emphatic. It says, love is not proud. And that is one of the key things to remember about the divine. It isn't proud. It might be proud of you, but it's not proud. Paul says, actually, if you like, pride is kind of love's counterfeit, if you want, because it inflates itself and elevates itself. But real love is secure. Real love is happy to listen, to point to you, to serve, to disappear that others can shine. Love isn't proud because it doesn't have anything to prove. It doesn't have to be noisy like that. The proud, on the other hand, resists correction. The humble receive it as grace. That's the great thing. One is entirely teachable and the other one is just not. And this is familiar ground to everybody. Teresa, the great saint of Alvea, she said, humility is truth, is how she described it. The quieter you become, say the Zen teachers, the more you can hear. And that's the whole idea, isn't it? Jesus said, unless you come plainly like children, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. It didn't say you won't go to heaven. It says you won't enter the kingdom, because the kingdom isn't entered like that. It's not earned, it's received. That's the whole point. So humility then is simply the doorway to wisdom, if you will. It's not weakness, it's openness. It's not low self-aware, it's clear and crystal clear self-awareness. So today, don't puff yourself up. Don't do that. Allow yourself to soften. The proud perform, the humble receive. And may you be renewed in that, because it's such an obvious and clear statement that we've got in front of us today. When pride comes, so does disgrace. Pride comes because of the fall, and the fall comes before the fall, and the fall comes because of pride. Then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom. May you walk in wisdom. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye-bye.